Guys, welcome to another episode of the Personal PR Show. And today we're here with Ariane Tavakol, pronounced in a very Italian way. Yes, Ariane, you are a brand strategist, and today you are going to tell us all about how to reinvent ourselves. Welcome to the Personal PR Show. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jessica. I'm great. How are you?
Great as well. Thank you. I'm super excited for this interview. Thank you for making the time.
And hi, Lucy. Thank you for joining us.
So, Lucy, yeah, sometimes we have guests on the Personal PR Show because the episodes are recorded live, and very often our guest, our main guest, is Lucy. Thank you so much, Lucy, for always making the time for the Personal PR Show. Yes, because Lucy loves asking questions. So she always has very smart questions. I look forward to hearing it.
No pressure for me here.
Exactly. But before we get started, Lucy, I'm going to bring you back to the spotlight in a few minutes. But Ariane, let's get started with you first. How would you introduce yourself? Because you're a brand strategist, so we are all ears now to learn how we should introduce ourselves.
Yeah, so I call myself a personal reinvention architect, actually. So yes. And how did that come up? I mean, I've lived so many lives already, and I've lived in so many different countries for long periods of time each time. And each time that I moved, I had to reinvent myself. So I think in terms of my personal life, I've become not an expert, but I think learned the art of reinventing myself in order to be able to fit in within whatever context I was in and I was put in, because I had to, right? It's not up to other people to receive me and adapt to me. I feel like it's up to me to adapt to the situation and to the people that I'm around. Otherwise, I can just keep waiting and waiting until someone knocks on my door, and that will not happen. So I learned very early on that, you take yourself wherever you go, and, you have to give 100% of yourself in order to receive, maybe if you're lucky, 50% back. So you constantly have to give and give and give. Eventually you will receive, and so the reinvention part happened along the way, because each time that I moved and each time that I had to adapt to the new culture, to the language, to the people, to new friends, I acquired new skills, and so that's why I thought, this is, it's a perfect term. And why architect? So it's really interesting because people misunderstand it as thinking that I'm an actual architect. But no, it's architect is really about the visualization of, building up a persona or building up a thing, a project brick by brick, following a blueprint. Right? Mm-hmm. And you start from the base and then you build up as you go and build more and more floors. But you build a blueprint as you go. So then you know exactly, or at least you in the beginning, you know where to go. And so as a guideline to accomplish your goals the best way possible. And so that, that's how it just came about, actually.
Yes, and so Ariane, I have to report that I have to sneeze. I'm sorry, I've been about to sneeze for a past.
Go for it.
And I was like, I
hold it in.
Okay, it didn't happen. Anyway, sorry about that. Okay. So you talked about a blueprint in order to create our architecture, the architecture of our personal reinvention. So without, of course, revealing your whole methodology, which is your intellectual property, of course, and is only accessible absolutely to the people that work with you. But what are, 2-3 points that you feel like sharing with us today about personal reinvention, this architecture, this process?
Well, I would like to actually start from the beginning as a form of storytelling, so just to make people understand better what that means. Because if you talk about reinvention, it could be misconstrued as throwing the old away, trashing it, and start anew from scratch, Jessica 1.0, constantly 1.0, right? But I look at it more as 2.0, 3.0. It's taking all the great stuff that we have acquired along the way, including the bad stuff, and refresh it, reassess it, or completely reinvent it if that's what you want to do, right? So it's really not about throwing out what we have done all these years And because it would be daunting to constantly have to start from new, right? So this is really pretty much, it's like taking all the great tools that we have acquired through our education, through our relationships, through our struggles, through our setbacks, and then creating a whole new story, you know, to for that moment in time. And that will change again, because we are evolutionary beings, you know, we're not static. It would actually be sad if we were the same person over and over again, right? So we all change. So it's sort of like taking all the things that we love about ourselves, or about our business idea, or about a relationship, and then recreating a new version of it, you know? And so that's what I think reinvention is. So before even going into any methodology, it's really about taking those things, understanding our strengths, writing down all the strengths that we have. What are we known for? What do people want to know, like be around us for? What have we helped people with, you know, and write those things down. And what are our weaknesses? You know, what are the things that I can learn better? What are the things that maybe I should just, you know, like maybe delegate to someone else? Because we often try to be everything to anybody and ourselves, but that's just not possible. It's also really, I think, embracing the fact that there are things that we're not good at, you know, and there are other people who can do those things. So then we can focus on the things that we are good, or that we can get better. So taking all your strengths, and then the obstacles, I look at them more like a setback. You know, like athletes, what they do is that they take a step back in order to jump further, right? So it's like a setback to jump even further into the future, you know, or into the place that you want to be in. So that's how I look at it, you know, and also another metaphor that I like to use all the time, because I think people can relate to it. Like imagine you're going on a date, right? Or when you first started dating someone that you were really into. And then you showed up your best self, and you were, you know, asking the right questions. You were interested. You were inquisitive about them. And then along the way, sometimes we get comfortable in our relationship and we stop asking questions. The things that we were putting up with, now we get annoyed with, and, you know, and we stop communicating the best way that we could. And then sometimes we need a reality check in order to, you know, realize, oh shit, you know, I don't want to lose that relationship. So let me go back to the place where we first started. But as I'm older, take those things that person liked about me, and then add the new version of me, and then create something nice. So that's the same thing with your personal brand, you know, and so that's how I envision the reinvention part, really, you know, as a part of our story on this earth, and then adding up like little bricks.
Yes. Oh my God. I love this. I love the idea of storytelling in order to reinvent your personal brand. I love the idea of, you know, creating this architecture, this blueprint, this process. Oh my God. I love everything. And I love what you said about, it's not Ariane 1.0 and another Ariane 1.0 and another one, but no, Ariane 1.0 and then 1.2.0 and maybe 3.0 and so on. Yes, I love this metaphor. That is great. Yes. So Ariane, what do you think? Should we bring Lucy into the spotlight and hear her question?
Yes, I would love. I mean, to me, that idea is, for us, is just really to have a conversation and you know, and exchanging ideas and thoughts, because there's nothing. It's not like a pure science. The way I do things is really, like I said, it's about understanding who you're dealing with, because we all have our stories. And also, to something else that I would like to add in terms of my method, I always start with understanding belief systems, like limiting beliefs, because we all have those, right? And whatever belief we have, normally beliefs in plural, those are the things that lead the way. So because whatever we hold as being the truth is the truth, even if it's not, right? So then we approach life, people, our brand, our business, and other brands with those limiting beliefs. So I always try to first start there, try to figure those things out, try to debunk them as best as possible, and then we can really start afresh without having to constantly carrying all those old stories and, you know, those burdens with us everywhere we go, you know, and create new beliefs. So that's how I start. So that's just parentheses in terms of my method and how I like to, you know, engage in that whole reinvention story.
Yes, I love this. And going back to your metaphor of the architecture, then basically you would demolish, so to say, if it's a building, you demolish the old beliefs, limiting beliefs, and then you replace them with healthy ones, and then you start building. I love that. Yeah, I love metaphors and similes. So you really, how can I say, you really made your point. I think it's easy for everybody to understand what you're talking about, because once we talk with images, then it's much easier and intuitive. So well done. Love this. And yes, and are you ready for Lucy's question? I'm super curious now, because Lucy always asks, you know, questions that are not obvious, to be honest. They're not obvious. So
sorry, I have these bugs that are like all over the place. So if I keep going like this, sorry.
I have my hair here and there, so I'm doing the same thing. No worries. Lucy, what do you have in store for us?
Well, I love your title, Aliveness Activation Artist. Ooh. I love that, you know.
Thank you.
I would love to know more about that, but maybe at another time. But I love
Absolutely. I do have a question which is kind of related to what you just said, that I label myself now Aliveness Activation Artist, because for such a long time, I'm a former marketer, currently full-time photographer, but I'm now in the final stages of transitioning into something bigger than just photography. And for such a long time, I was really struggling to how to handle the concept of me evolving my whole life, because that's one of my core values, to learn, to grow, to evolve. And I have been so stuck for so long all the time that before I even am able to put into the physical world and express what I have evolved into, I have evolved even further into something else. So that's actually my way how I worked around it, was that I labeled myself as the Aliveness Activation Artist, because I feel that that's the gift that I'm here to bring to people, to actually reconnect them to themselves, and to bring that full spectrum aliveness of even the shitty moments and the shining moments, that this is all human experience, and that we all are, that our experiences are valid. And I am not a scientist, I am an artist. So I'm going back to my, photography, and I do have some tools and things that I'm going to use. But the question is, I think that I have figured out the way for myself, because even my website, it's lucylearnslife.com, because one of the things that I want to normalize is as well that it is human to learn, evolve, and grow. So that's my sort of like a safety net or safe way how to actually give myself the permission to evolve all the time and not having to scratch all the other identities from the past. But I'm actually thinking about, I now do have a perfect opportunity to ask the expert of reinvention. How do you hold, or what are the approaches, or what do you see, what are the options, how to actually hold in the container that would still make sense to the outer world and to my audience, to be able to embody all that evolution and all that growth while still being relatable and, delivering the message that I want to deliver, and that I do not have to recreate a new brand of me, let's say every, year or two or whatever. So yeah, I suppose my question is if you do have any other tips or perspectives, how to hold that container, that umbrella of the reinvention, so you are not confusing towards the outer world?
I mean, that's a great question, my God. And it goes back to what we were talking about, right? So it's not the goal, at least for me, is not to trash the old, right? But I think what you have to realize, you're the constant. So no matter what happens around you, you're always that constant who always stays there. And people, whenever they come to you, they know that they recognize you as such, right? As Lucy. You don't change. Your DNA doesn't change. Your ethos doesn't change. But your story, every day you have a new story that can change. So I think in terms, you have to, for me, consistency is everything. And walking your talk is very, very important. So I think if people, when they come to you, no matter what version of Lucy is today, it doesn't matter, because they know that behind it and even in front of it is always you as a constant. That your delivery is always the same in terms of the quality of what you offer. The quality always stays stellar, so they know that they can count on you on always providing that. The means can change, the style may change, but the quality will always stay up there. You want to be known for something, right? So for example, just to give you a fun idea, again, I love like stories, but I'm always on time. I'm even a little bit early usually, but I'm always on time. So I'm known for that. And unless something happens, it's really not my fault, right? Years ago, when I used to live in LA, I was late because I was stuck in traffic. My friend called the cops because that had never happened. She thought that I had died. So no matter what happens, that's what I'm known for. Someone you can rely on no matter what. So in your case, that you are always honest. You don't try to, lie your way around. You don't exaggerate. You don't, whatever it is that you're known for. I think that constant is always that solid base, right? So it's like a building, you can remodel it and rearrange it, but the core always stays the same, right? So I think it would be ludicrous to think that you as a human being living on this earth, you don't change, you don't evolve. And I think as you evolve, your clients also evolve. I don't want to go back and work with someone who has the same pictures or the same story that she had 10 years ago. That's not interesting to me. That's boring. I want to know how you have evolved in your life. How have you moved, or got past the challenges that you've been facing. So I think also part of it, like I was talking about storytelling and why personal branding is so important, because today's world, we're not separate from our brand. So the business is not separate from who we are. We are everything. It's a holistic approach because of, a lot of us are entrepreneurs. We're also on social media. Even we were talking the other day with Jessica, even within a corporate world, you still have your own brand within that setup that you're in, right? So you are your brand, but around it, you evolve, So I think what you have to make clear is in your copy, in the form of how you show up, right? So then you can actually, I don't like the term train, but you can teach your clientele or your prospects about you and where you stand in your life, But I think the best way to change while keeping yourself sane and people coming back to you is that constant cannot change. The constant is the core of who you are, is your DNA, it's your mission, it's your purpose. Even though those can then evolve as well as we get, as we evolve. But I think, if I know you as someone who, if like, let's say you were big on sustainability, right? And I know that. But then one day you start doing things that are completely against that philosophy, then that would not be okay with me, right? As your client. So I think your constant has to be there, and around it, your story changes and evolves. And that's what will make you interesting, actually. That will make you multifaceted. And as your clients also evolve and change and go through the struggles, through the changes, they will be able to relate to you even more. Because I don't think anyone right now wants to work with this entity that is perfect, that never fails, never falls, never cries. Everything is always, we cannot relate to that. So I think it's a beautiful thing to show up as a human, having a human experience, but having an expertise that maybe not everybody has, with your own DNA. Because let's face it, there are a million of me better, but what makes us unique is us, because there's only one me, there's only one Jessica, there's only one Lucy, right? So that no one can take away from us. And I think that is your core value of how your brand is, who you are. Because people buy into you. It's the same thing with, let's say, if you had a product, right? I don't know if you buy like a candle. There are a million candles, right? But what would make me want to buy one? If there are two with the same smell, maybe the one that has a story attached to it will trigger something in me. If there's a soul, if there's a story, if there's a person that I really love behind it, that's what I'm going to go for. Because a product, a thing is a thing, but it becomes a who once there's a story behind it. So that's why actually one of my clients called Who's Your Brand? Because who is behind that thing, right? So behind that picture, the way your lens captures the moment, the way your lens captures the emotions in the eye, or the little line that no one else wants to see, but the way you capture, that's your thing. I hope I answered the question, and it helped you. It was a little bit more maybe philosophical, but but I think all we can do really, faced with a sea of sameness and so much competition out there, that I think once we become clear about who we are and we accept that with the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything else, and then we also realize our gifts and we stand by those, and then we just go through life, with this clarity, I think everything else will just fall into place. Because we can't please everybody, but we have to always be congruent. My thing is congruency. I mean, my huge pet peeve in life is people who claim to be something, but they act completely differently just because it's the right thing to say, the cool thing to do or to say, but then they're not congruent with it. I don't like that. You have to walk your talk, because people will know. People read through BS, and especially because we're bombarded with so much information all the time. And so I think the only way to persist through time and through competition and through the ups and downs of life is by being ourselves, that constant that's always there.
Wow, I love all of this. Yes. Do you agree, Lucy? I mean, do you love all of this as well? It all goes back to authenticity at the end of the day, like the last part that you described, Ariane. Yeah, it all goes back to authenticity. That's true. And then I love what you said about the constants as well. We keep changing, but there have to be, and there are, as a matter of fact, some constants in our lives. Certain things don't change. And at the same time, what I loved as well is that people are actually interested in the evolution, in the human evolution, right? This is a huge point. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Did that help you, Lucy?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. And it is really funny because last night, one of the last sentences that I wrote in my journal was that I want to convey the feeling that my clients or my, followers, my audience, they will get that feeling that whatever you do, I want to do with you. So it just probably wraps up what you described.
Yes, that's amazing. Because I mean, and it took me a while to get to that point, right? Because I think we all suffer, and I still do, from the imposter syndrome, right? Who do I think I am to claim this, or I'm not good enough, and this and that. And I think most people do, mainly women. I think we suffer from that symptom, because we just want to do the best that we can, right? But I think once we come to terms that we cannot please everybody. Not everybody's going to love us the same way as we don't love everybody, right? Let's be honest. All we can do is be true to who we are and true to ourselves, and then that's all we can do. Do the best that we can, educate ourselves, learn the new tools, grow. But also, it's okay to fall, because falling is learning, and also, but share those moments with our crew, with our tribe, with our community, because then we give them space also to fall, and not to feel bad. We have to create that safe space for everyone to feel like it's okay just to be human, having a human experience. And that's hard, Yeah.
Oh my God, I love this. And Ariane, before we close, because unfortunately we have nearly reached the end of our conversation today. I do have a question that I ask everybody as the last question. Let's see what you respond. It might sound as a silly question. Let's see what your reaction is. So what is a question that I haven't asked you over the past 29 minutes, but I should have asked you?
That you should have asked me. Huh. Oh my gosh. What could you have asked me? Oh my God, you're catching me off guard here. I
Maybe
don't
something
know.
about your methodology. Something
About
about
what?
maybe something about your methodology, or something about, I don't know, how we can find you, how we can work with you.
Here you go. Here you go. But yeah, but you asked about my methodology. You did. Yeah, how you can find me, or or if there's anything I have a workshop coming up. Maybe if anyone is interested in joining that on March 14th. It's at the Vienna residency. I'll give you the link. So it's basically the title is being an entrepreneur or not. That is the question.
Oh my gosh. We'll be sure to share the links, definitely. You said it's in 2 weeks, right?
I'm sorry?
Is it in 2 weeks, you said?
It's on March 14th, from I think 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Vienna residency in Sil City. It's 15 francs, to get for just because of the space, and we'll have some little snacks. If you're a resident there, it's at no charge, but it's a little workshop, and then we'll have some fun exercises. It's to really help people also demystify what it means to work for somebody, because I think right now, and I know we don't have time, but we glorify being an entrepreneur, but it's not that easy, and it's not for everybody, and there's nothing wrong for wanting to work for somebody and have, consistency. So it's really about trying to tap into that, and we'll have some fun exercises, and it will be a couple of hours.
Yeah, that's amazing. And by the way, Sis City is in Zurich, because our audience is global.
So, sorry. Yes, you're right.
No, don't worry. So guys, I'm sorry, but if you're not able to attend this workshop of Ariane's, there will certainly be other opportunities to join you, maybe virtually somewhere.
Yes, right? Exactly. I mean, you can share my website if you like, and if anyone wants to contact me, I will be more than happy to. Yes, I would love that. Yeah.
So Lucy can join you as well, because she is in the Channel Islands between England and France.
Oh,
on a
okay.
Island of 2,000 people, exactly. So she can't join you here in Zurich, but she will definitely join you online.
Awesome, great. Thank you for joining, Lucy, and thank you for having me, Jessica. That was awesome. I could talk forever and ever, buddy.
Yes, you can come back to the show, promise?
Yes, for sure. I love it. Yes, thank you so much.
Back very soon. I'm excited as well. Awesome. We're all excited to have you back on the show very, very soon. Maybe in March, maybe in April, but definitely very soon. Yes. Thank you so much, Ariane, for making time for us today, and for sharing your wisdom and experience. And Lucy, thank you so much for joining us and asking, always your unusual and certainly not obvious questions. And guys, thank you so much for watching us today here on the Personal PR Show. And we'll see you very, very soon for another episode. Actually, already in 1 minute. All right.
In 1 minute. Oh, wow. Okay, great. Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.